Good morning, and thank you for having me here today, even if it is virtually. I'm David Altmaier, Florida's Insurance Commissioner. I became Florida's Insurance Commissioner in April of 2016, and I have the privilege of leading a talented and dedicated team of employees at the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation. Today, I'm looking forward to providing an update on the latest at OIR and Florida's insurance market. First, I want to say thank you to Thomas Howell Ferguson and the FSU College of Business for hosting the 2022 Financial Reporting Insurance Forum. This forum is a great way to connect with and learn from other professionals in the industry. It's also a bit of a sentimental event, as this is the first conference at which I spoke at as an insurance regulator, way back when I served as the chief analyst in the Property and Casualty Financial Oversight Unit. My talk today is going to be much different than the talk I thought I was going to give 6 weeks ago. Obviously, 6 weeks ago, we hadn't been impacted by Hurricane Ian. In the last couple of weeks, OIR has been supporting the state's Hurricane Ian response and recovery efforts. Leading up to landfall, OIR took all necessary actions to ensure the protection of consumers. When it became clear Hurricane Ian was going to impact the state, OIR communicated with all of our regulated entities to collect information on disaster preparedness efforts and to ensure companies had all necessary resources to assist policyholders. The expectation for companies was that policyholders have the rights to expect prompt, efficient, and fair claims adjustment services, especially after a catastrophic loss. Immediately following Governor DeSantis' state of emergency for Hurricane Ian, OIR worked with the Florida Department of Health to distribute a notice to all health insurers, managed care organizations, and other health entities, reminding them early prescription refills are permitted under Florida law during a state of emergency. This helped ensure consumers were able to take all necessary preparation efforts ahead of Hurricane Ian's impacts, without experiencing additional challenges from their pharmacy or insurer. We also issued an emergency order regarding the extension of grace periods, limitations on cancellations and non-renewals, deemers, and limitations on use and file filings, along with other provisions. This emergency order was issued to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of all Florida policyholders. Under this emergency order, no insurer or other regulated entity may cancel, non-renew, or issue a notice of cancellation or non-renewal of policy or contract, except at the written request of the policyholder. Additionally, following Hurricane Ian's landfall, OIR instituted a data call to collect catastrophe claims data related to Hurricane Ian. This data call was issued to assist with determining the impact of this event on Florida's insurance industry. Already, as of the date of this recording, companies are reporting around 543,000 claims, which are projected to cost over $6.1 billion. Keep in mind, that's $6.1 billion just for claims reported so far. And with modelers projecting Ian to ultimately cost between $30 and $70 billion, we've got a long way to go. From a solvency standpoint, we're closely monitoring every company's projected total losses and comparing that to information gathered from the reinsurance data call. There's a wide range of estimates, mainly driven by the age-old wind versus water concern. However, currently, everyone is projecting total gross losses to be within their reinsurance towers. With that said, we've seen in Hurricanes Michael and Irma how quickly third-party engagement with a claim can cause costs to soar. So we'll continue to diligently monitor. From a market conduct standpoint, we'll be using data from our claims data call to ensure companies are holding up their commitment to properly interact with their insurance consumers. With all of the recent legislative activity and media attention, it's fair to say that everyone is watching how the industry does post-Ian, both financially and market conduct-wise. I've also seen firsthand the destruction this storm caused. I had the opportunity to visit Port Charlotte and Fort Myers following Hurricane Ian's landfall and met with impacted Floridians at some of the disaster recovery centers and insurance villages. So many Floridians arrived, many seeking assistance with insurance claims, some just looking for a place to sit and rest for a little while. We still have OIR team members at the disaster recovery centers throughout the state working to support recovery efforts. They've been working long days, and they were deployed to these centers in a short period of time. I've been very proud of how willing each OIR team member was to play a role in helping these Floridians' recovery. Unfortunately, during my time in impacted areas, we've also already seen bad actors try to take advantage of these disaster survivors. The Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation recently shared a picture of a 6-foot-tall pile of yard signs advertising contracting services. These signs were all collected in one spot in a span of hours. However, the state of Florida has been diligent in our efforts to protect consumers from these bad actors. CFO Petronas has deployed fraud-fighting squads, which have been on the ground canvassing neighborhoods to educate impacted families about the dangers surrounding signing their rights away through assignment of benefits and handing off their claims to public adjusters when they maybe didn't need to. Fraud-fighting squads consist of more than 40 officers. Their primary goal right now is to deploy to impacted areas to educate the public on fraud and arrest anyone conducting unlicensed or fraudulent post-storm activity. CFO Petronas has said that fraud detectives need information on suspected fraud in impacted areas. If you come across suspected fraud during Hurricane Ian recovery efforts, contact the Florida Department of Financial Services Insurance Fraud Hotline at 1-800-378-0445. It's also important to remember that contractors are required to be licensed in the state of Florida. Residents can verify a contractor's license and check to see if there are any complaints against them at myfloridalicense.com. We know that AOBs have long been part of Florida's insurance marketplace. We also know that abuses in the way that they were being used in the marketplace has driven up costs for homeowners across the state due to unnecessary litigation associated with certain AOB claims. It's imperative that we each continue to do our part in educating consumers that when signing an AOB, they may become involved in the third-party vendor's lawsuit against an insurance company if the third party and company are in dispute on the payment amount of the claim. It's unfortunate that there are individuals who would attempt to take more from individuals navigating the recovery process in an event like this, but OIR will continue amplifying educational resources to protect consumers navigating the recovery process. For additional information or Hurricane Ian resources, please visit myfloridacfo.com or FLOIR.com. This storm also reinforced the importance of flood insurance. This storm brought a significant amount of flood impacts to our state. Flooding is the nation's most common and costly natural disaster. It's important that we continue communicating the importance of flood coverage to consumers and make sure they understand that flood damages aren't typically covered in a homeowner's insurance policy. I also want to recognize the extraordinary efforts taken by all insurers in response to Hurricane Ian. Companies have been on the ground in impacted areas, providing staff to disaster recovery centers, insurance villages. They've been working with consumers and diligently processing claims. We watched companies pull up to the disaster recovery centers and insurance villages the first day they opened and eagerly began setting up so they could meet with consumers. Your teams have been a vital role in this response, and I thank each of you for your passion. This disaster really demonstrated and exemplified the industry's ability to band together during difficult times. It's going to be a very long road to recovery, and our expectations will remain very high. but please know that OIR is committed to doing our part in helping Florida get back on its feet. While this storm brought devastating impacts to our state, our industry is certainly resilient, and I have no doubt we will come away from this disaster stronger than before. On that note, there's also been a lot of discussion recently surrounding Florida's property insurance market and how Hurricane Ian will impact that market. Currently, there are approximately 7.2 million residential insurance policies in force in the Florida property market. Almost 84% of those policies are in the admitted market, as opposed to surplus lines or citizens. We still continue to see challenges in this marketplace. Most of the primary cost drivers in the Florida property insurance market, including catastrophic claims, adverse loss reserve development, and higher reinsurance costs, are notably exacerbated by excessive and costly litigation. Florida leads the nation in the number of lawsuits opened to claims opened. Litigation drives up the severity of a claim, as a litigated claim costs 3 times that of a non-litigated claim. In 2020, Florida had only about 9% of the nation's homeowners claims, but had 79% of the nation's litigation. In 2021, insurers paid about $3 billion in direct domestic homeowners defense costs and containment expenses, which include defense, litigation, medical cost containment expenses, and attorney fees. Additionally, Florida's domestic property insurance industry is especially reliant on reinsurance to finance the payments of catastrophic claims and is sensitive to hardening reinsurance market conditions. Reinsurance costs have increased, and those costs are passed along to the consumer. For instance, in 2020, the cost of reinsurance increased by about 54% from 2019 figures. In response to challenges in the market, insurers increased premiums to cover losses and expenses, creating affordability and availability challenges for Floridians. I've heard directly from reinsurers that a primary factor for them is continued adverse loss reserve development on catastrophes like Hurricane Irma. We continue to address these challenges, but given recent legislative activity, we are in a much stronger position to stabilize the market and ensure the availability of affordable and reliable insurance products for consumers. As I mentioned, part of that is due to the recently held special session on property insurance, which implemented some of the most significant and comprehensive property insurance reforms Florida has seen in decades. Senate Bill 2D, passed during special session, enacted many pro-consumer measures to help alleviate rising insurance costs, increase claim transparency, and crack down on lawsuits. Senate Bill 2D builds off of the foundation laid by House Bill 7065 and Senate Bill 76, passed in previous years. Senate Bill 2D established the Reinsurance to Assist Policyholders Program, often referred to as the RAP program, and helped lower rates for consumers over the next 2 years. The RAP program authorizes a $2 billion reimbursement layer of reinsurance for hurricane losses directly below the mandatory layer of the Florida Hurricane Catastrophe Fund. The bill also provided $150 million for the My Safe Florida Home program to provide grants to Florida homeowners for hurricane retrofitting, making homes safer and more resistant to hurricane damage. The bill also created a new standard for application of attorney fee multipliers, which have been liberally applied, resulting in increased costs to consumers. It also limits the assignment of attorney fees in property insurance cases, disincentivizing frivolous claims. It also prohibits insurance companies from denying coverage based solely on the age of the roof if the roof is less than 15 years old, or if the roof is determined to have at least 5 years of useful life remaining. Senate Bill 2D also established the Insurer Stability Unit within OIR. While monitoring the financial condition of companies is a standard function of OIR, the Insurer Stability Unit is a collaborative group amongst multiple business units that allows us to enhance these abilities. The Insurer Stability Unit recently produced a report outlining the conditions of Florida's property insurance market. This report, which will be produced twice a year, will hopefully provide lawmakers with additional data and resources which will allow them to continue implementing meaningful legislative reform. That report is available on OIR's website, and I encourage all of you to read it if you haven't already. Following the special session, OIR has also worked to issue guidance to the industry on how to implement Senate Bill 2D. It's definitely been a busy few months, but OIR remains committed to consumer protection and the promotion of a stable and competitive insurance market. We also look forward to continuing to work with Governor DeSantis, CFO Petronis, and the Florida legislature to stabilize the market. While OIR has been significantly focused on implementing legislation passed from the recent special session and supporting Hurricane Ian response and recovery efforts, we've also remained steadfast in our efforts to improve the efficiencies in other areas of the OIR. Namely, in our efforts to get products speedily into our market while balancing the need for us to thoroughly review products for consumer safety. OIR recently provided notice to all property and casualty insurers authorized to do business in Florida regarding updated resources for personal and commercial policy forms. OIR developed form filing checklists as a resource for companies to help provide guidance when submitting personal policy forms. Commercial forms are exempt from prior approval. However, insurers can get their products to the market quickly by certifying their forms in an informational filing. To facilitate these efforts, OIR created commercial form filing checklists. A line of business matrix is also now available to assist insurers with submitting form filings under the correct line of business. A link to the page with the updated resource is available on the homepage of OIR's website. We think these enhancements can be a good way for companies to be efficient in their form filing process while streamlining OIR's ability to review filings expeditiously, thereby getting reliable product options to consumers quickly. Another priority area for the OIR is our effort to develop the profession and recruit individuals to work in the industry. We've identified opportunities to meet with students and young professionals throughout the state through job fairs, university career centers, and other opportunities. For example, this week we have OIR representatives at the FSU Employer in Residence event hosted by the FSU Career Center. At this event, we'll be meeting with students, reviewing their resumes, and helping them strengthen their applications to state internships or job postings. An event like this gives us the opportunity to connect directly with the future of the industry and help them develop their skill sets. However, job fairs are just one part of our recruiting efforts. We're also working to identify all possible avenues to promote open positions within OIR. We post positions on multiple websites to reach a wide range of potential candidates. We've used platforms such as Handshake, Indeed, LinkedIn, in conjunction with OIR's website to promote vacancies. Not every candidate is going to know to search for open positions on People's First. By using various platforms, we increase the possibility of finding potential candidates. I've also had the opportunity to speak to different colleges and universities in Florida and promote positions students don't traditionally associate with insurance. For instance, in March, I spoke at an FSU law seminar and promoted open attorney positions within OIR. University partnerships are a great way to identify potential candidates. But we also don't limit our efforts to just in-state recruiting. Working with universities across the nation allows us to gain a deeper understanding of what potential candidates are looking for in their next position. We recently met with the Arizona State University School of Mathematical and Statistical Sciences to learn more about their students and how we can recruit them to Florida. The meeting provided a lot of great insight into what students are prioritizing and looking for in jobs as they near graduation. Meeting with universities also helps us educate students on OIR's internship program and fill internship positions within our business units. OIR's internship program offers students an opportunity to gain knowledge and experience in the insurance industry with a regulator that has oversight of one of the most complex insurance markets in the world. And the internship program is available to enrolled college and university students pursuing careers in risk management and insurance, actuarial science, finance, and data analytics. Recruiting interns also provides the opportunity to fill full-time positions after the internship is over. An internship program provides a safe environment for students to learn and sharpen their skills before entering the workforce full-time. We've had many interns at OIR go on to lead incredibly successful careers. Developing the industry and the profession only helps all us improve. I'm proud of the recruiting efforts OIR has taken, and I'm looking forward to building off the momentum. If you have any suggestions or ideas on recruiting in the industry, we'd love to hear them and encourage you to reach out. In addition to everything happening at OIR, we remain engaged with the National Association of Insurance Commissioners and work they're doing within the industry. For instance, at the end of 2021, the NAIC recently created a new letter committee, elevating the work previously under the NAIC Innovation and Technology Task Force. It is the first new letter committee created with the NAIC structure in over 20 years. The new committee is the Innovation, Cybersecurity, and Technology Committee, which we'll call the H Committee. It will have 5 working groups reporting to it: the Big Data and Artificial Intelligence Working Group, the Cybersecurity Working Group, the E-Commerce Working Group, the Innovation, Technology, and Privacy Protections Working Group. While various work streams related to these issues have been in progress for a while, under other committees in the Innovation and Technology Task Force, increasing numbers of cybersecurity events and fast-evolving digitalization and use of big data and artificial intelligence and machine learning made it clear forming this new committee would help to better coordinate our efforts and heighten the visibility and understanding regarding developments in these important areas and address them as appropriate. For example, the Cybersecurity Working Group will be considering the development of a cybersecurity response plan to aid state insurance regulators in situations where cybersecurity events take place within the insurance industry. This project will provide states with the opportunity to share expertise related to effective resources that can aid states managing complicated responses to cybersecurity events. The working group will also be considering the development of a cybersecurity survey to better understand cybersecurity practices by insurers. In addition, the group will be working with NAIC staff to identify and develop training that would be beneficial to state insurance regulators. This group also serves as the coordinating entity for monitoring state, federal, and international cybersecurity efforts. The working group also monitors and assists wherever needed in the tracking of the adoption and the implementation of the NAIC's Insurance Data Security Model Law from 2017. This model law updates state insurance regulatory requirements related to data security, the investigation of a cyber event, and the notification to state insurance commissioners of cybersecurity events at regulated entities. Further, the NAIC is continuing to update and strengthen guidance in its Financial Condition Examiner's Handbook regarding information technology systems and protocols to draw more focus to the consideration of cybersecurity during a financial exam. This includes improvements to encourage greater review and testing of cybersecurity exposure, as well as corresponding company controls during the course of a financial examination. I want to thank you again for allowing me to give an update on the important things happening in our industry. While the industry has faced many challenges in recent years, I know we will remain resilient and will continue to overcome these obstacles. At OIR, we understand that communication is key and our door is always open. I look forward to continuing to work with each of you.